Here we are on Instagram, once again, waiting for people to shuffle through, waiting for all of the various invitations. Instagram nice enough to tell all of our friends. Oh, and here we are, we have people. Hello, people. Alright, let us get Lucie in here. So let us do the damn thing.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Lucie. How are you this evening, afternoon, whatever it is?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you. As always. Love and life.
Good, good. I see
I'm
you.
very happy to be here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The dress is a bear for the occasion.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, bugs, reptiles, alligators, bats, whoever you are out there, we don't judge.
We're
Welcome to
inclusive.
welcome to another edition of featured artist interviews. But this time it's a little bit different. We have an artist, we have a feature, we have an interview, but we are also specifically talking about the Poetry Kingdom's very own anthology, our first
Oh,
publication.
let me just join you with that.
There we go,
Hi,
in
bye.
unison. Right to the Round Table, a majestic anthology from the Poetry Kingdom. All right.
This is a very special book.
Absolutely. All right, now that we've got the intro out of the way, why don't you tell the folks at home a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Lucie Sargeant. Some people know me as Lulu because that was my writing name that appeared from the ether for me to find my creativity through. I've been admin in Poetry Kingdom for almost a year now. It's been the best year of my life. I've met some amazing friends. We're not just a team here now, it really is a community of family. And every day I'm very, very lucky to be here. I've been writing for a very long time. Ever since I was a small child, I've been writing. I'm not always good at verbalising everything, as you'll probably see over the course of our interview. But the written word offers a much wider scope of expression for me. So it's been a lifelong poetry path for me, really.
It's absolutely been an incredible journey, and we'll certainly get into the nitty-gritty of that. But let's start out with some questions about you.
Okay, that's fun. Thanks, Patrick. That's it. What I really like to talk about myself, of course.
Yeah, that's right. It's the poet's favorite topic is themselves.
It's that not for me. I like to hide all of the things about me in really intense metaphors, so nobody knows anything about me.
So what is your history with poetry?
Well, when I was really small, I started reading very early. I used to spend a lot of my time just lost in books. I enjoyed the characters, being able to take myself out of my own life and to be able to. It also gave me the gift of empathy, to be fair, reading, because you get to experience so many different people's perspectives, so many different life stories that you could just never imagine on your own. So a lot of my childhood was just spent held up in a corner reading books. And it seemed to be a natural progression from that to go hand in hand into writing my own stories and then writing my own poetry eventually. And I did that for all the way through childhood, my teenage years, and then when maybe around my early 20s when I had my children, life really intervened in being able to have the time to have any kind of creativity at all. I just became a mother and there was really no time and no space for anything else. So I just put it all on the back burner and just stopped really for about 15 years. I would write the odd things now and again when maybe you're really hit by some kind of deep emotion, some kind of inspiration that you just need to get out. And I would have these little like journal diaries at like 4 a.m. in the morning when everybody was asleep, and I'd just write something really tightly and then just put it away again, and that would be that. But yeah, 15 years I took a break really, and there was no writing, no anything. And then in 2019, my dad passed away, and I wanted to write something to read at his funeral. First of all, I had a look at things that had already been written, and there was just nothing. It wasn't personal, it was somebody else's words. So I thought the only way I'm going to find something that is what I want is to write it myself. So that was the door opener really to coming back into my writing. I wrote a piece to my dad. I read it out loud in front of many, many people. The most terrifying thing I've ever experienced in my whole life to stand there and do that, but I did. And since then, it just unlocked the doors to all of my poetry and all my creativity again. And I was just writing for myself for a long time, because I didn't really have anyone in my real physical world who was really involved in anything like that. There was nobody else who was writing, nobody else who I had any means to share it with. So even though it was a way of getting my expression out, it was still a very lonely thing. So, Will says sounds like I'm underwater. I'm really not underwater, Will. Sorry, I don't know if there's anything we can do about that. There's some technical thing going on there. I am not breathing through gills. I am air breathing. So I apologise for that, Will. There's not really a lot I can do on my part there.
The distance and the carrier waves and all that has an effect on that.
I'm a long way from all of you guys. So maybe just in the UK it's just the accent. It sounds like there's some sort of marine life, but I am an air breathing. No, so I was writing a lot just by myself really. And I just wanted to find somewhere that I could share it, and that is what led me to Facebook poetry groups, because I really just wanted to find some like-minded people who I could just put my work out and get some kind of feedback. And there's a few different groups on Facebook, all of the big ones, and I started really tentatively just putting out a few pieces and to see what response that I got from everybody. And it was a very positive thing, but as in most social media platforms, there's also a lot of negativity that can come. There are people who are not really there for the right reasons. There are people there who like to troll writers, who like to give you a hard time, who are really heavily critical of people. And from my own experience and from many other people, a lot of poets, they're writing to heal mental health issues. They don't have a lot of confidence in themselves, and to put your work out into a public forum and to be attacked is a really hard thing to deal with. So that's what finally led me to the Poetry Kingdom, because it was quite a new group when it was first set up. And I was asked to join the group and then asked to admin the group, and it kind of became our ethos was that we would create a safe haven where people would be welcomed. They would be free, as long as they had their own good intentions as well, they would be free to come there, they could post whatever they wanted, and they would be supported, they would have feedback without heavily criticised, there would be interaction, there would be support, and that's really what we've created. We've spent the last year creating this really beautiful place, And the feedback that we get from the people who are in the group is just massively uplifting and inspiring, because they've taken on board the fact that it really is a place that you can be yourself, and your voice matters, and people do want to hear what you have to say. And it is the community that I always hope to find in all of the other groups. They do say that, if you can't find what you're looking for in the world, then you can go out and build it yourself, and we really have done that. And now our team is really, like I said, it's not just a team of individuals who are just working together on a shared project. It really is a group of my very best friends and my most favourite people in the world, and I'm very, very lucky to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's
every day. One of my best people.
Thank you. That's very sweet. And actually, I hear a little bit of an echo on my end. I wonder if I can hear that with earphones.
Let's see if we can do something to fix it.
I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'll fuck around with shit to see if I can improve it.
Okay. I'm here. I got you back. Let's see what we can do.
Absolutely.
Because,
so
if Will's here to support us and we can't even hear what I'm saying, then I feel really bad about that.
So why don't we dig into the history of the Poetry Kingdom and how it began, how it's evolved, the general history, and also your own personal history with it.
Well, it was created, like I said, it's just had its 1 year anniversary, and I came in just a few months after its first start. It was originally set up by the wonderful Lisa, Brandy, and Jimmy. They were the foundation team of the group. And then there was a lot of changes between the mod teams. And then when I came in around September last year, I think we were around 700 group members when I first came in, which is, it's a significant good size. But we have just built on that, and I think we're just coming up to about 14,000 members in TPK now. So the group has consistently grown, and we're at a point now where the level of creativity is just outstanding. We have daily prompts, many of them set by yourself or your lovely lady Brandy, to just try and encourage people to get involved and to take part in what we have going on there. And then quite a new thing, which I think has been going wonderfully, has been linking the daily prompts into a full weekly prompt. And then now we offer the group members the opportunity that they can have all of their pieces read in an Instagram live here, because we had a lot of people writing and wanting to hear their poetry read aloud, but it is quite a big confidence issue for poets. It's a big step to be just posting your written words to then putting your face out there and having because poetry is, it's people's heart and soul words, and it's your deepest feelings. You're putting it on paper, and then to take that next step to actually sit there and read it out to the world, it's a very difficult thing to do, and it's not what everybody wants to do. So I think that's been a massive thing and a huge step in TPK, that we now offer the group members a chance to actually see their poems read by one of our lovely team. I had my first go at doing that with you recently, and it was a very enjoyable experience. So thank you for that. But yeah, we're just it's a wonderful group. It's a wonderful place to be, really, and it just really goes from strength to strength. We've got a really well established team now, and it just seems as though every week there's new things happening there. We've got a YouTube channel now. So all of these live videos and any group members want to submit of them doing their own work can all be put onto YouTube now if they're trying to reach a wider market. And also
I know this one's slightly different for me today because obviously we've already released our book, but the opportunity for poets and authors to be able to come here and discuss their upcoming publications with you, I think is a huge thing, and it's a great gift, because self-publishing seems to be the way forward, and it's the way that a lot of people are going with their work now. But to be able to publicize your work and to be able to market it to a wider platform, apart from really just other poets that you know within the groups already, it's quite a difficult thing to get your work out there and get it recognized. So I think that's just for the community side of it, and for the relationship building that we've done within TPK, for people who run other groups, for poets, to give people a voice and a platform to be able to get their work out there. This has been a massive thing. So if anyone who's watching has got any upcoming books or anything that they would like to discuss and publicize here, that's an opportunity we have for everybody as well now. Just hit up one of the team on Facebook or here on Instagram, and you can come in and discuss all of your things with Patrick, or maybe me in the future, who knows. And we'll give you some nice free publicity on the up and coming Rising to the Top Instagram TPK channel now. We're on fire, really.
Yeah. I mean,
we're really on fire.
Yeah, literally on fire.
Yeah, literally on fire. Apart from me, because I was underwater for a little while, so it did put the fire out. So. I need to reignite mine. I think it's better now that I'm holding my phone in my hand. I was just having a little look in the comments quickly to see if it's okay now. Lucie's garbled. I know that's just the way I speak, Will. That wasn't any technical issues. That's literally just my voice. I know Brandy said it's fine now, so we're good. Will said it's excellent now. Yes. I can't say all the first stuff again. Sorry, Will. I made some written notes, so I'll just type these up and just send them to you in Messenger later, Will, okay? There's no backtracking with me. My brain works in this step way, so once we've talked about it, that's gone now.
Yeah, it's
there's no going back. Yeah, it's purely linear.
Yeah, but it's
sorry, I just bought something, Patrick.
No, go for it.
All the things that I was saying about all my gratitude and everything for TPK, at some point I'd like to just, I know we're going to read some things from the book, but one of the ones that I put in the book, it was really about this, about showing my gratitude for everything that I've gained from the group, and all the things that are given to me every single day by being a part of that community. So if you would like me to just throw in a poem right now.
Absolutely.
Like to do that. Gives my brain a chance to catch up with my mouth as well for the things that I'm saying. Okay, this is a poem that I wrote specifically for TPK and for all the people in it, and for the huge life changes that I have had by being a part of the kingdom. So this is called Thankful. And here is the blessing. Here is the beauty of the uplift, the precious gift, the connection, the reinvention. Hold my heart as I flow through sweet emancipation. Past take pains of rejection, weaving each stolen strand of our self-belief into holistic healing within our fractured souls. Armor of anticipated isolation no longer shines with burnished protection. It rusts into neglect. For futures are where faith and perfectly placed connection forge moments to store in the safety of esteem. You are more than you imagined. You are beauty bathed in darkness. You are the starlit shimmers of in-between. You are meaningful in your existence. Offer no resistance. Let gravity and grace guide you to the center of acceptance. Because broken is finality. Shattered can grant wishes on the wings of silvered dreams. Lie down weary bodies beside me, seek solace in our humble-mouthed humanity. We are weakened when we suffer alone. Speak my name when you poetize forgiveness. I am enough. I am all I ever needed to be. We are blessed to hold a paradise in the palms of prayerful hands. We are hope and happiness, and we are heading now for home.
As always, exquisitely beautiful, incredible, elevated language, such rounded, beautiful flow.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you, everybody. That's just a little bit of my gratitude, because it really has been a life changer for me. I was a very lonely person, locked into my own headspace, and to be allowed to come there and share my thoughts and share my poetry, and to always be just filled with positivity, and to be given responsibility to make these posts in the group, and to be, you know, it's got to the point that people are asking for my advice. Me and Josh are running a mentorship group now, you know. It's like people give me respect for my writing. It's a brand new thing. I've never had that, and what it does for your self-esteem and your confidence is unbelievable. As you can see that I'm just here talking to you like this now. When I first wanted to make a video of my own poems, speaking them, it took me 3 months from the idea to actually making my first video of practice and delete over and over again before I got to this place. And it really is just from being part of the Poetry Kingdom that has got me to the place that I am now. So that poem's just a little bit of my gratitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a very similar experience with all that. You know, in terms of starting writing, stopping writing, getting back into writing, being in isolation, and then, you know, experiencing, you know, the online community, and then with the spoken word. That was something that was completely new and completely and utterly frightening and terrifying, and here I am doing internet shows.
I remember your first video really, really well. I was unbelievably proud of you. I had tears in my eyes the first time I watched it. And look at you now.
It's been an astounding, incredible experience. You know, both, you know, as a writer, as an artist, I think being a part of a community of artists is super helpful to expand and grow your art. And of course, personally, making so many friends, and especially meeting Brandy, falling hopelessly, obsessively, madly in love. And then, inexplicably, she did the same, and now we're together. And that's because of the Poetry Kingdom, and that's fucking incredible and miraculous.
It really is. It's wonders upon wonder.
It is wild and incredible. So,
I like it. We had our little moment there. I just got my tips of it.
one of the things that that really stood out to me when I first joined the group, and then when, you know, I first started modding in the beginning, was, as you talked about, that kind of, that open, safe kind of spirit. How, because you've been there longer than I have, how is that crafted? How is that developed? You know, how did you create that? I know how it's maintained, but how is it initially, you know, came to be?
The first step is to have a team that you can build around you, who everybody has the same kind of ideals, because it's really important. Obviously, we're in all different parts of the world, so it's almost like you have to work out a shift pattern, so that if I'm in the UK, you know, sometimes like you guys, you're 6 hours different from me. Some people are 8 hours different, so it's good to have a team for people in different time zones, so that you've always got somebody who's there and somebody who's vigilant to what is going on. The shared ideals is a very important thing, because really difficult things come up when you're running a poetry group. This is something that it takes time, and when you initially bring people onto your team because they're very interactive in group, or because they're writing great work and they're offering their knowledge or their feedback or their friendship within the group, it's good to invite them to the team. But what goes on behind the scenes and that group members really aren't aware of is that the online poetry community is a very political place, and there's a lot of people aligning themselves with certain others, and people can get very upset about it. There's sabotage within groups. People get unhappy with popularity of others. It's a very it can be a very difficult place to be a part of, and we didn't want, when I say we, this is initially when it was me and Brandy and Lisa behind the scenes. We didn't want the group to be filled with all of this nastiness and all of this political backbiting and all of these things. So we tried to keep all of that out of the group. And it's almost sometimes a case of policing the group, which sounds really heavy-handed, but sometimes it really does have to be that way, because if you're offering a safe community and then you have people who are coming there with really not good intentions, and you have people attacking others on their poetry, you have to take a heavy hand with it. And people, we used to offer a discussion base, so that if somebody was coming into the group and there was issues with the way they were interacting, one of the team would go and speak to them privately in Messenger about what was going on, ask them if they were issues that could be resolved. Was it a personal thing? Is there something that we could do to support them? And then as time has gone on, it has to become a case, the bigger that the group gets, that if somebody comes in there and it's really clear that their intentions are bad and they are intentionally trying to upset other people, they just have to be removed from the group straight away, because it really does have to be a safe community. And we have had people who have been really upset by things that have happened within the group. Even, we still have the group on our member approval, so that everybody who requests to join the Poetry Kingdom, we can just have a quick look at who it is that we're actually letting into the group. Because even then, you have people joining the group spamming it with really inappropriate material, really nasty things that people just don't want to see. So the main way is to just have a really vigilant team who really know what they're doing, who are really dedicated to the group, who are willing to give time every day to be there. And we've been really, really lucky that we do have that now. It's taken a while to establish it, but the team that we've got are outstanding, all of them. And we're very, very lucky for their dedication and for the time and the effort that they put into the group. But it's still... as in anything that is opened up to the public forum, there are still times where we do have difficulties and we do have issues. But I think the group is established well enough now that the group members know all of us as well, because we're all visible presences all the time. They see us posting, they see us interacting, they see us putting the prompts out, and so they know that if anything comes up that they've got a problem with, they can come to one of us straight away, and we're always there to deal with it and sort it out. So it's good to have a tight team, but you need to have that wider community and know that they can trust us and we can trust them to all do the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's modding, and then now I'm an admin. It was really fascinating seeing behind the curtain, and the and I have to say it, but I'm a poet. I love my poets, all of that. but we're really weird.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we really are.
I think sometimes even more than a lot of other types of artists too. So you run into some very interesting situations, but there's, you know, there's, if you want to craft you know, a very specific value system that we have, then, you know, it does take a balance. You need to have your hand on the wheel. It can't be, you know, the Wild West in that regard. And even after all this time, there, you know, there are some poems that come up where we'll have a discussion where we're like, it's, you know, what's the context of this? You know, does this fit or does this not fit?
And it's really good that we have that. That's why we've always had our open chat policy for the team as well, because there are some things that come up, and I know that there's been things personally myself before that I've looked at it and I there's something about it that doesn't seem right, but I don't know if it's a personal dislike on my part of something that's maybe just triggering my buttons, or whether it's something that could be offensive to people in general. And that's why we have that great chat, so that we can just bring it there, and then you get a nice wide spectrum of opinion. And we even have votes regularly, don't we?
Yeah.
Who thinks we should keep this? Who thinks this should go? And I trust everybody else's opinion, and that's why we're really lucky to have that there, because we can share it. It's not just one person's ideal. It is really a shared thing that we've done together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a sense of team and equalness. Now let's get on to the book, shall we?
Yes, let's do that.
So, the first idea out of the gate, we're going to do an anthology. How did that happen?
Well, first of all, for me, the very first reason that I wanted to do it was I wanted to give people a sense of achievement, because it can, even though you're sharing your work online, and there's always feedback, and there's always positivity, there's always encouragement, it can still sometimes be there's a hollowness to it, as though, you know, you're just screaming into the void. And the void is sometimes echoing things back at you, but it's still you're just putting it out there, and there's no tangibility to what you're doing. You know, for me, my poems, they almost become like throwaway. I write them, I post them, and then they're gone into the ether, and there's nothing there. And I just got this image in my head of saying to people, you can give us all of your poetry, and we want to hear it. We want to give you a voice. We want to give you a platform for your work to be read. And we love your work so much, and we respect you so much, that we're going to put it into a book, and you can have that book. And it's literally, it's a real thing. You can hold that, you can buy it, you can show it to your friends. You can say, look, I'm a published author. I wrote this. These are my words. These are my thoughts from my heart. And look, they're written right here in a book. I can buy that. I can give that to my mum. I can give that to my friend, and I can say, look, I did that. This is something that I made. And when I kept imagining everybody doing that, it gave me this. It was like this mirroring of happiness, because I thought I can give that to them as a gift, that people can have this real tangible object and hold it, that they're a part of that, and then I'm going to be the one who's going to put it together, and I'm going to create it, and then it all comes back on me. Because, you know, they say there's nothing in this life that really is altruistic, and it is true, because the happiness that came to me from making that anthology was beyond anything that I've ever known. It was like a circle effect of happiness over and over again. Also because we sold the book on Kindle, and all the profits from that we gave to a charity that provides educational resources and toys to underprivileged children or from families who are in crisis. So then there was a wider aspect of it as well, that we could create something, and then any financial gain that came from it we could then use again to inspire some kind of love for writing and books for also children who may be in need of it most as well.
Yeah, that's it's a very sweet and awesome aspect. I love that. What is the name of the charity again?
It's called Toys for Hope.
Toys for Hope. That's right.
Yeah.
So I remember I was definitely a moderator at the time that we were getting submissions for this, because I remember we all had a connected Google email account at the time. So
Yes, we did.
So I would see absolutely everything. So, and there was a ton. So how? Well, actually, first let's go back a step, because the book is broken down into themes.
Yes, it.
There's love. There's mental health,
Nature and space,
and then reflections.
That's right.
So what was the idea of, first of all, having themes at all, and then the choices for those themes?
We first of all we wanted the themes and the topics to be quite general and not too specific, because as soon as you start cutting the submissions down to a very narrow margin of what you actually want in the book, you're already destroying the inclusivity of the whole thing. So if you chapter a poem, if you put one chapter as love poems, almost everybody in the world has some experience of love in some way. It didn't have to be even like a relationship-based love poem. It could be just love. It could be love for your parents, love for your pet, love for the world, love in any way. So to have that universal topic means that more people would be able to have the opportunity to submit something that would be included in that theme. The same with the nature and the space. We made it even broader. It can be nature in the world, but even out into space, if you like. You can write about anything you want involved in that. The mental health chapter was because, like I've mentioned before, I have found generally that many poets do use their writing as either a release from their mental health issues, or as a way of expressing things that they don't know how to verbalize, things that are going on inside the mind that you don't know how to get out in any other way. Yeah. And we get a lot of poems in TPK, in the group as a whole, that are based on people's mental health struggles. So we wanted that to be in there because that's a big part of just all poets' lives, it seems to be. And then the final chapter of reflections was because we were making these submissions, and the book was being created through the heart of all of the COVID times, with all of the lockdown and the isolation and the restrictions on people's lives. And I think it became, poetry became an even more important vehicle for people, and the poetry kingdom became a really important community, because people were shut off from their social lives, from people in the physical world. They weren't allowed to see family or friends or go out in places that they would have at other times. So we wanted the final chapter to just give people really an outlet to discuss how that time had been for them, when the world was in such a mess and everything was so difficult, but then also looking ahead to the coming year of when things, as we all hoped at that time, would be de-escalating and starting to get better, and what people were hoping would come out of everything that had been experienced through the whole of the lockdown period. So that was the main reason for the final chapter, was just to give voice to what a strange and completely unique experience it had been while everybody was closed off in their own homes.
Yeah, absolutely. fascinating period in history, that's for sure. And I think it, you know, in the element of silver linings, it definitely pushed, to a greater extent, it was already huge, but even to a greater extent, the artists into online community.
That's right, because there was no other outlet for so many people, um, and you know, human beings are by nature a social creature, and to be isolated is not really the ideal condition. Many people are pushed into it for whatever reason, but deep down, I think in the heart of most people, you do want to be a part of a community. You do want to be understood. You do want to be heard. People want to feel like they're part of something, and when you lose the means of that in any other place in your life, um, I know for me to be able to pick up my phone and know that just from pressing a couple of buttons, I've got a whole group of friends right there, ready to talk to me, ready to share in what's going on, the support and everything that came from all of that. You know, that it was a very negative time for so many people, but personally, there were so many positives in it for me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of the nitty-gritty of putting together the book, the selections of the poetry and the ordering of it, what was that process? What was the decisions and the process of
Well,
that like?
the first thing I would say is that I wouldn't recommend that anybody tries to edit a poetry manuscript on a phone, because that was my own process, and just, you know, if it's not difficult enough to do that already, at that time I didn't have a personal computer, so I literally did edit the whole manuscript on my phone. So if there's any mistakes in the print there, I do apologise for that. But um, so we decided to publish it through it's called KDP, it's Kindle Direct Publishing, because you really have complete autonomy over everything that you do there. You create your manuscript, and you can upload it. You pick the cover, you pick the layout of everything. So if anyone is considering putting together any of their own work that they're not really sure where to go publishing wise, that's a great place to start, because also the publishing costs are covered by the cost of the book, so you don't have to outlay a lot of money to get your work printed up, so that's another positive about it. The submissions for it, we were putting out every week or so, we were just putting out a little prompt into the group to say, this is the next chapter. If anyone's got anything at all that they think would fit the bill for this theme, just send them all into the email. And then we left that open for quite a few weeks after we'd put all of the submission requests out. And then it was just a matter really of just, I tried to include almost everything that I possibly could into the book. Because I thought, if people have gone to the effort of reading these prompts and typing out work and sending it over, you know, they're putting in their effort already. So if they want it in the book, it's going to be in the book. So apart from a couple of pieces that has some quite offensive language in that the poets didn't really want to edit out, I gave them the opportunity and said, if you want to, you can just edit it, because it's, you know, it's kind of, for the whole point of inclusivity, you want everybody to have a voice, but then you want everybody to be able to read that voice. And so they were really the only poems that weren't included in the book were ones that were just more adult content, and so would not really have fitted with the theme of what we were writing. Apart from that, everything went in.
That's incredible. And
Yeah.
and the ordering. How did you decide what, you know, what was the thought process of ordering it?
This will probably sound really blasé, but the truth is, it was just purely done on my own whim. It was really, I looked through it and I copy and pasted everything over into a Google document from the email submissions, from the messenger submissions. I put it all into the book, into the document, and then I just read through it, and in my own head, just purely from my own how I thought it would look nice, that's how I ordered it. And I thought that one will look really good with that, and then this one seems to be of a similar theme to this, so I'm going to put these two together here because that one runs nicely into that one, because like on the love chapter, it would have been really difficult to have somebody who's writing, you know, of a kind of really steamy romantic love, and then it goes straight into the love of like a deceased parent. You know, you've got to try and have a little bit of certainty about what you're writing, because if the reader's going to be looking through this, and I know some people just open at random or they pick specific poems, but some people read from start to finish. So it was really just. I just imagined how I would most like to read the poems and what order I thought that they would go nicely in, and that's how it was put together. There was no really logical process to it at all. It was just Lulu mind was like, I like that one there, and I'll put that one there, and that one's great, and it all looks pretty now. So that was really my process.
Well, I think aesthetics is good, and it's probably a wise idea not to have erotica right next to grief.
Yes, although I guess they're all part of the human experience. Who am I to say?
But a pause is nice.
Different strokes for different folks, I guess. But yeah, it was really just done that way. And then after I put it together how I liked it, I then I shared the document with Andrew, and he looked through it all, and he had a real computer at the time, so he made it look much nicer than what I'd been able to achieve on my phone. And then we gave it a final sweep through the wonderful Jamie Santamasso, and she just cast her artistic eye over the final manuscript and just pulled it all together. Things that I hadn't considered, page numbers, she added those, and I didn't even think about page numbers. Oh, people can find them then. If we put a number next to the poem and a number on the page, that'll make it much easier for people to find where the poems are. So it was a really good learning experience for me as well, because I've never done anything like that before. So yeah, it was a really good learning curve for me.
And yeah, I think it's amazing stretching into the world of publishing. Like as you say, it's a new world, and you can create your own, right? And so you can create your own in the way you want it to, just as, you know, we created the community the way we wanted. Then we can also publish work in very exacting in our own values and our own philosophy, and there will definitely be more to come.
I'm really looking forward to that, because I think just since we released the first anthology, the evolution of the group has changed, and there's always new members coming into the group. There's always a new vibe. There's new opportunities for different styles of work. So even in just a couple of months since we released that one, I think there is a whole wealth of new poetry that we could put into a book right away now. So watch the TPK space, because there may be some submission requests coming up very soon if anyone would like to be featured in the TPK Anthology Mark II.
Very exciting. Shall we read some of the poetry from this one?
I would love to.
All right. Now I need to find a book that hopefully I can lean my phone on it without screwing with the sound. Because
okay, I'll have a look for some things to read while you're doing that.
All right.
Let me see here. Oh, while you're setting up, shall I start with one, Patrick?
Yeah, absolutely. And people in the comments, can you tell me how the sound is once we get going?
Oh yeah. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I've been going on and on for a long time, so far. Let's hope it was coherent, at least some of it.
Absolutely coherent.
Okay, I'd like to read one by he's a really big community builder himself, and he's been in the Poetry Kingdom for quite a while now. A lot of our online members know him as Jimmy Broccoli, but I've got him as his actual writing name, Jeff Stinson, in the book here. But he's an outstanding reader, and he also has a very similar ethos to us in the Poetry Kingdom. He's a very supportive person. He's really interested in artistic communities, and I'd just like to read some of his work first because he's also an outstanding writer. This poem is called Broken God. His unshaven posture weakens. He wilts into my arms as if we're dancing, a delicate dandelion stem exposed to hurricanes, a falling toaster into bathwater with bubbles. He is crumpled paper and smeared ink, downturned blue eyes, with confidence hung from rope, swinging from unstable rafters, looking down upon a chair with faded and expired paint. I build a fort. Marmalade bedsheets surround his symphony. In stillness, I pronounce him king. Fluffy life rafts in pillowcases, mixed matched blankets and couch cushions. He sits in silence, thinking only in whispers. With evaporated tears, he falls asleep, handsome. I hold my breath, then exhale diamonds. My emotions spill upon the floor as I listen to him breathing.
You know, that was actually one that I had picked out. When I read.
Stole your thunder. Sorry about that, Patrick.
No. How could you possibly know?
Oh well, great minds and all that, you know. So.
Yeah, but this. Oh my God! It's so powerfully emotive. I am not ashamed to say that a couple tears trickled out reading that this morning. That was an absolutely incredible piece.
Wonderful storytelling.
All right, I have one here. Next to Someone Who Wishes by Thomas Fucaloro. It's Thomas. Fucaloro?
Thomas Fucaloro.
Fucaloro, that's right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I think I'm going to need to take my glasses off to be able to read. All right. Asleep. Though the spiral steps into my dreams spitting, reality spittle like seed searching for soil, asleep, midair frozen in the mouth of the air, pillowed head, frontal lobe soft 8 latitude globe, spins slightly skewed, asleep in the veil of light filtered through someone else's, sewn silk, and your head becomes a temple, and your mouth becomes a bell, and your eyes chime in tune to glory of the moon, asleep, behind the camera, letting pictures escape. The want of holding is what is missed, is somebody else's cake, asleep, under the trees, fluctuating in and out of bloom. Catch what the eyes can't blink, asleep, next to the window, raining mildew, steam condensation, asleep, next to the one you love, looking for that inner spiral your bodies make, asleep, next to someone else's body, asleep, wondering inner spiral visions, asleep, next to someone else's body who doesn't love your body back, asleep, next to someone who wishes they were sleeping next to somebody else, asleep, next to somebody who wishes that I loved my body too.
Wow. That's incredibly powerful.
I absolutely love the cadence of it and the repeated lines. It really adds to the emotional weight of it.
It
And
builds and builds as it reaches towards the end until it just hits you with that final line.
yeah, absolutely. And the
Yeah,
way the piece
absolutely.
evolves, and who wishes they were sleeping next to somebody, and the wishes that I'll love my body too. Wow, such a brilliant ending.
It really is. And you know, Thomas, he is an outstanding spoken word artist in his own right.
Absolutely.
He's if people want to check him out, he's on YouTube, and he's got some videos on the Button Poetry site as well. He's an outstanding writer and performer. I'd like to read one by your wonderful self, if that's okay, Patrick.
Sure.
If you can stand to have me read it right here for you. The pressure's on now, I feel. Let's see. Okay, I was going to read the ballet. Okay. Flailing and flashing fit, always in gallows, always on fire. This doppelganger fishers in the ragged and frays, eaten glass lament, asylum hearts possessed. I am crimsoning in tombs. I am disorder disaster in pyretic chains, delicately dissolving mangling amygdala, Nephilim mind maligning. Bent angles unnatural neck downward, desperate comfort textures touch absent obsessed. Dizzying demons by twirling encircling and spent, silencing their voices with gnawed on hands and splintering foreheads red, ward floor kisses wet. Passing out under lunar and squad car light ballet, pockets of ever collapse. Hope is only buoyancy bodies in the reservoir. I couldn't keep my tears from slipping out between my fingers. I wanted to keep them for when I grow cold. I remember when I first read that, and it was incredibly powerful for me. So I just wanted the opportunity to read it out loud, because it's an emotionally impactful piece.
Thank you. That was a great reading. It's so weird. It's so weird. I feel like my style and my feelings shift so much. It almost feels like somebody else wrote that.
I agree with you completely. The transition within ourselves. I like to occasionally just take time to go back and review my work. I've enjoyed the Throwback Thursday prompts that we have, because I like to sometimes just to search myself in TPK and then scroll back through my own profile, and I just scroll back and then just pick at random, and I'll read some of my work from that time, and I think, whose voice is that really there? Who is speaking there? Because it's hard to put yourself back into that place, because I think poetry is like a snapshot. You know, they're like Polaroid pictures, and when you're right there in the moment, you're overwhelmed with your emotions, and you have to pour it out, and you have to get it out onto paper and express yourself. And it completely encapsulates that image and those feelings. But then, as with any sort of emotional experience, with time, the feelings lessen, and we learn, and we move on. And you know, they say that you should, if you're really worried about something, then you should consider if it will still be a problem to you in like a week's time, or a month's time, or a year's time. And to look back on your own work, it does give you that sense of perspective, that something that was so incredibly powerful for you then, looking back just a few months later, and you can't even remember what it really was that you were feeling when you wrote about it. And it's a very strange thing to look back on your own emotional and mental life in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And the piece kind of takes on a life of its own because, you feel it, you write it, you put it out there, and then, you shift. Um, but then the poem stays the same, but then other people will read it and they'll have their own perspectives. And it's kind of like this living organism that's like, it's so intimate to you and you created it, but it's also kind of independent from you at some point.
It's you kind of have to gift it to the world, don't you?
Yeah.
You take a little bit of yourself, and you put it into everything you write, and then you just set it free and gift it. And then um, I found a really a really impactful clarity from this just really recently, just watching the critique interview that you did with Antonio recently, because I put in two pieces for that. One that was an older piece and one that I had written just really recently. And the older one held no emotional meaning to me whatsoever. I'd written it so long ago that it was just words, and it was just it was really a kind of showy off wordplay kind of poem. Really, there was no real emotional intent in it. And then that was the one that was critiqued in a really kindly manner. And then the more recent one that I posted, I was having a very difficult day, and I was feeling very bad about a lot of things. And I'd written this poem as just to get all my feelings and just throw them out. And it was very personal. And to sit and watch it being line for line taken apart and saying, well, this could have been better, this could have been better, this is not quite right. And I'm just sat there thinking, oh, these are my heart words, and they're just pulling them apart. And then I was like, but actually they're not, because it's just words on paper. It's not any part of you. And then I got a really good perspective, and I thought, oh, I could be a much better writer if I wrote exactly like I've done here, and then left it for a week when I was completely calm, and then go and look back on it with some perspective and actually make it a decent poem. And it was a huge moment of understanding and clarity. So I meant to say thank you to you and Antonio for that, because I was like, wow, I could edit my work. That's a real thing. I never considered that before. To me, it's an emotional spewing of ink onto paper, and then I just throw it into the poetry kingdom. So I've learned a new skill now of reviewing and editing my poetry. So thank you very much for that.
I actually learned a lot from that too, because there's the way that Antonio was critiquing, he was like, well, what is the intention here of the artist? And so often I don't have a conscious intention,
No,
but but I think if after you've written and you ask yourself, why have I done this, and would I continue to do it, and what is the reason behind it, that you can really evolve as an artist.
yeah, that's not something that well, it's a difficult thing with me, because I have two different ways that I write. I either have these emotional outpourings, and this is when it's a very oblique work with me, where it's heavily metaphored, and it's written about just random imagery that I have in my mind that I have no way to try and express apart from in strange, elevated language. And those ones I found really, really difficult to understand what any intention is there, apart from as some kind of emotional relief, as in and breaking a barrier, and there has to be some sort of outlet, and all the words have to come out. And then there's a completely other side of writing that I do, that if when we used to have a lot of prompts, when I used to make the come write with me challenges, because there was a requirement for what I was writing, I could then frame all of the emotional expression that I wanted to have, but I could put it within a framework that would be a guideline, and then it would be much clearer what my intention was. I think my brain has a tendency to just run off on its own track, but if I give it some kind of rules or classical meter to write to, I would be much able to give a clearer intention and put clarity into my work. So I'm going to spend a lot of time thinking, and you may see a new style of writing coming up from me at some point soon. Antonio did say that, was I writing that poem about him? I jokingly said it's all about you, but he may be partly responsible for me the next imaginary stage of my metamorphosis into some kind of super writer that I've been aiming for a while. So we'll see what's coming.
All
I
right.
might even put in fiction and
exciting.
less punctuation.
Yeah. Yes, people, use end-line punctuation, for fuck's sakes. God.
And less alliteration, because I've been clearly told that I'm on a razor's edge with that, so I did take note. I listened and understood.
Well, I have one by Lucie Sargeant.
Oh, thank you.
The Wilderness Within. Wooded wilds, trails, sweet woven of whimsical, sourced into spiritual, sunken and soothed, seasonal cyclical, feast unto famine, imagined impressions, pretensions removed. Arms seek immersion of wrists writing scar songs, rooted exclusion born after the bane, rotted declusions take bodies sky burial, grave marks delineated sadness to same. Each littered leaf a leap from resistance, incrementals, incidents merge past our mist. Fog fragmentation hides pathways to progress, yet life's subtle pointers reanimate mist. Soul symbiosis is naturing nurtures, upon osmosis to drink of combined. Shared saturation, acknowledged arrangement, as vines vorpal vision twists twice too entwined. Down to the micro, these tiny time treaders, step through portals we mortals desire, connected collective, restored retrospective, and I interjected, absorption entire. Falling back fathomless, light into sky dreams, reaching, beseeching for photonic favors. I scan eternal of spun ring nocturnal, burning discernment of arborist labors. Seated solemnity, sacred conformity, temple-made treescape, convergently blessed, mundane to ancient, so tenderly patient, as lost praying prophecies rise to regress.
Thank you, Patrick.
That was.
It's really nice to hear my words read by somebody else.
It is, don't you? You know, you do the spoken word thing, you get used to it, you get better, but then you're like, God, I'm kind of sick of myself.
Yeah, because I do all the reading all the time. I want somebody to read me now and again. That was awesome. And you got the you got the really strict musicality meter that I put into it really good as well. Because that was when I was going through that phase of writing everything just being I like the juxtaposition of it, of using quite complex language but putting it in a really jaunty sing-song rhyme, because it just doesn't quite go together properly, and it makes people think, oh yeah, this is a jolly little poem, but then actually what's she saying, because it's not really that funny at all.
It's
I like it.
It's a phenomenal sense of meter and cadence. Yeah, it's very, very melodic, very, very rounded. And as you say, the combination of like complexity, but also lyricality to it as well.
Yeah, I like those ones sometimes. They just naturally come into my head. It's like a kind of nursery rhyme thing. Right, I was just trying to find. I wanted to read one by Lisa.
Sounds good.
It's called My Night with the Stars by Lisa White. The stars with their constellations burst one night. They floated through my hair and glided along my skin, settling at my feet. It was a pulsating and vibrating feeling, making me feel at ease. I was able to watch as they were only as bright as soft candlelight. The red and blue stars came together in unison, so I wouldn't burn or freeze. They started to dance around me, like some sort of silent chant of ancient prayers, vibrating and pulsating in a humming rhythm, a cadence to my existence with theirs. They enveloped me in the warmth of their glow, humming lullabies in my ear with a motherly and universalistic tempo, filling me with light and energy, where I once had only cracks and tears, showing me all things I could be if I just learned to let expectations of myself go. The morning sun peeked at us from the western horizon, as if it was saying, I'll lend you a few more minutes if it's almost time. One by one, the stars started their ascension. The last to go was the belt from Orion, the constellation said to bring forth the gods, wrapping my head like a crown, turning my thoughts sublime. They slowly faded one by one, with only one left to remain. I felt its celestial pull and its feeling of leaving me, a sad apprehension. It started to vibrate and skitter quickly, flaking off some of its dust into my eyes, leaving a part of the heavens with me. When the sun revealed itself in full view, it was then I understood and knew that the universe and nature stand at attention for the gods they send down, for I wore for a second that celestial crown, revealing within me their love and adoration of their creation, which has always been and always will be. Thanks, Lisa. That's a beautiful poem.
So it has this really interesting duality because it has this really beautiful, glowing, almost even light and effervescent imagery, but it's enfolded within this deep emotion and yearning and melancholy.
I love space imagery, and I think the metaphor of space and the mirrored reflection of what happens in the skies above us, the ever-changing mosaic imagery, is like it's like a painting of perfection. Yeah, it's always changing, and I think it is such a beautiful metaphor. And I know just love Lisa's work because she's an outstanding poet, much better than she ever gives herself credit for.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one more that I selected. This is called Subtlety by Jyoti Nair. I am a foam-sequined waterfall, gushing from the fettered ankle of the cyan-speckled ceramic parasol, suffering from whooping cough, since it was wrung after the last torment. Often I crack, but subtly. I have been learning subtlety by smothering my blossoms nonchalantly. I have been hankering to write about pain. those shoals of piranhas wandering through me, scraping my bones with their fire-spitting tongues. Albeit neither I write nor I sketch, I just lie as a slice of skin, smeared with a few sprinkles of crimson dreams. The mirth-spilling butterfly that sat on my toenail. She reminds me that we all need to open the windows of our chrysalis, wipe our brine-soaked cheeks, let them shimmer as they are being caressed by fingertips dusted with the white tulip stupor.
Oh, that was so very beautiful. Josie is a wonderful writer. Her command of language is in the top tier of any poets that I've seen in online poetry. She is able to use imagery from nature in a way that is it's like a written painting, so that you can see exactly right in front of you what she's trying to convey. But the level of beauty involved in her word choices is just outstanding, and always an absolute pleasure to me to read any of her work.
She always has the most sublime, ascended language, and oftentimes when I read her work, I'm like writing down words because I'm oftentimes discovering things, and it's one of those examples of how you can be you can use really complex words, really lofty words, and still remain that deep emotion invested in things.
And accessible, because I know that there's a centre of divide that is often discussed, is that if you're using highly elevated language, then are you alienating people who don't have command of such a vocabulary of knowledge? But you don't have to use words that maybe are not so recognised by people, and that to cause you to separate your work from being appreciated by everybody who reads it. It's possible to write with any kind of vocabulary and any kind of language and still put emotional connection in it, so that people can, even if they don't take the full intention, because in truth, I don't think that any reader fully grasps ever the full intention of what the writer is really trying to convey in any poem, because you really can't, because it's such an individual thing that without a line-by-line breakdown yourself saying, when I wrote this is what I meant, when I wrote this is what I meant. And I don't think that that's even what we should do within poetry, because like we said before, when you create it, you put a part of yourself into it, but then you send it out into the world, and then it's a gift for anybody else who chooses to read it. And whatever meaning they grasp from that, and whatever connection, it is the gift that keeps on giving, and it's different for everybody. And Josie does that very, very well. We were very, very lucky in the anthology, and we were very, very lucky in TPK, because the general standard of writing is just so very high that just on a daily basis you could just scroll through and pick 20 poems, 30 poems that you would be happy to publish just on a daily basis. So it is the level of poetic skill is absolutely outstanding.
Absolutely. Do you have anything else that you want to read, or are you good?
I think we've covered a lot of everything that we needed to, and at some point, like when I was last talking to you in the live, there'll be a knock at the door and a small head will come round with some kind of request. So, before that happens, it's probably best that I say goodbye first before it becomes a family-friendly event for everybody who's not in here.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Patrick. to discuss everything with you, and thank you for making it such a comfortable and enjoyable experience. And thank you especially for reading my own poetry back to me, because that is really a gift, and I really appreciate that.
You're quite welcome, and thank you so much for coming on here and discussing the book and discussing the history and all of those amazing things that I'm so happy and grateful to be a part of. So everybody, the anthology, Rights of the Round Table.
It has a kind of medieval feel about it. Very, very nice picture there. So we're all about the kingdom, aren't we?
That's right. It's all about that metaphor, and it is available. It is available at all of the various Amazons, the UK, USA, Canada, Zambia, Indonesia. I don't know, all over the place, physically and on ebook. So thank you very much, Lucie, for coming on and talking to us. And thank you. It was fantastic.
I look forward to the next time.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely will be. And thank you, everybody who watched. And I hope you have an excellent rest of the evening, afternoon, or wherever it is, wherever you are. Have a pleasant, joyous, happy one. All right, everybody. Bye.